So the biggest rumor circulating around the NFL world today is that the Washington football team, according to Jason LaFloria, is expected to trade Dwayne Haskins. Now, there are strong expectations that Dwayne Haskins will be traded before the NFL trade deadline. Now, the reason for this is because unless you've been living underneath a rock for the last couple of days, Ron Rivera and Washington decided to bench quarterback Dwayne Haskins. And not only did he get benched, but he went from QB1 to QB3. He's not even getting reps in practice. So, to me, it looks like Washington is pretty much done with Dwayne Haskins. Okay? And what this shows me is that Dwayne Haskins wasn't really all that much wanted in Washington from the first place. Okay? And Ron Rivera and his coaching staff is fairly new to Washington. Okay, you guys have to understand that Ron Rivera did not draft Dwayne Haskins. Therefore, you're not going to have a lot of patience for a guy that you didn't ask for. Okay? If Ron Rivera would have drafted Dwayne Haskins, then maybe Dwayne Haskins would still be starting in the NFL right now for Washington. But the fact that he did not draft Dwayne Haskins, you're not going to have a lot of patience for a guy that you didn't bring in. So he goes from QB1 to QB3. Okay. And now there's even more speculation coming around that Washington is expected to trade him. Okay. And the rumor is that Dan Snyder is really the guy who forced Washington's hand in selecting Dwayne Haskins in the NFL draft a couple of years back. Now, I believe that there is a lot of truth to this story. Now, be it, this is a rumor, so we have to take everything with a grain of salt. We can just speculate at this point, but I think there is a lot of truth to this rumor, okay? Because, to be honest, I don't really think Jay Gruden was all that sold on Dwayne Haskins, okay? I'm going to be honest with you. I think that Jay Gruden was kind of forced into that pick because he was on the hot seat and maybe he felt like Dwayne Haskins could have came in there and helped save his job maybe. But I mean, even then, I don't really believe that Jay Gruden really wanted Dwayne Haskins because if he did, I think that Dwayne Haskins would have started day one because you don't draft a guy in the first round when you're on the hot seat to ride the bench for a couple of games. Like, if you're on the hot seat, the quarterback that you draft should be starting day one. So I do believe that Dan Snyder kind of had his hand involved in the decision to draft Dwayne Haskins. I don't really believe that Jay Gruden was completely 100% on board with drafting Dwayne Haskins because when you're on the hot seat, you shouldn't be drafting a quarterback to sit behind and learn for a couple of games. Like, no, if you're on the hot seat, the quarterback that you draft should be starting day one because you need him to perform to save your job. So, all of the signs points to Dwayne Haskins being unwanted in Washington. And I think that Dwayne Haskins would be better off if he got traded somewhere else. Now, I'm not going to say that Dwayne Haskins is going to be a better player if he plays for a team like Pittsburgh or whoever he gets traded to because a lot of you guys got to understand. A lot of people always say that JT, Dwayne Haskins, Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen would be better if they played for a team like Pittsburgh or New England. A lot of you guys have to remember that New England and Pittsburgh have their fair share of misses when it comes to quarterbacks as well. I don't know if a lot of you guys remember Landry Jones, but Landry Jones was drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers a couple of years back to be Big Ben's potential successor. And as we already know, Landry Jones, in my opinion, is one of the worst backup quarterbacks in NFL history. You had Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, and you wasn't even able to do anything with them. Okay? So, also remember, the New England Patriots drafted Ryan Mallett. Ryan Mallett was supposed to be the potential successor to Tom Brady, and we saw how the Ryan Mallett experience went with New England. Okay, so the Patriots and the Steelers both have their fair share of misses when it comes to the quarterback position. For all we know, Dwayne Haskins could go to a team like the Patriots or Pittsburgh and still not be a starting caliber quarterback. He may not ever develop into the quarterback that a lot of people expected out of him when he was coming out of Ohio State, okay? And a lot of you guys have to remember that Dwayne Haskins, the biggest knock on him coming out of Ohio State was the fact that he didn't have a lot of experience playing college football. He only started 1 year at Ohio State. So Dwayne Haskins is still pretty raw to adapting to the game and the speed of the NFL. So, I mean, I can't really be upset with the fact that Ron Rivera decided to bench Dwayne Haskins. I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, they benched Dwayne Haskins and their offense still didn't do anything. I don't really think that's the point. I just think that Ron Rivera is kind of fed up with Dwayne Haskins. And I don't think that is all because of Dwayne Haskins not being all that good on the field. I also think that Dwayne Haskins' personality just may not be what Ron Rivera wants to put up with it. Okay, you can't work with a guy who you don't like. So there's more to it than just Dwayne Haskins play on the field. And I know a lot of people are going to say that Dwayne Haskins needed more time, which I will agree with. But like I said earlier, when you're Ron Rivera and you're a coach that's trying to win now and you still have an opportunity to win the division, you don't have time to wait for Dwayne Haskins to get this thing going. Okay? And plus the fact that Ron Rivera isn't really in love with Dwayne Haskins' personality and Dwayne Haskins kind of rubs him the wrong way isn't good neither. So it's more to the story than just Dwayne Haskins getting benched because he wasn't good enough. Okay, and a lot of people are going to come out here and make excuses for Dwayne Haskins' play. They're going to be like, oh, JT had no weapons. He had a terrible offensive line. And that is true. But let's not act like Dwayne Haskins didn't have any wide receivers who weren't getting open at all, okay? Because it's been several times. You can go back and watch the games and watch the film that guys have been open and Dwayne Haskins either overthrew him or he just didn't see him. So Dwayne Haskins isn't perfect. He is a developmental project, okay? So he needs to go to a team like New Orleans or a team like Pittsburgh and learn for not just one season, but 2 or 3 years and get some really good development. And even then, Dwayne Haskins could sit on the bench for 2-3 years and still learn, and he still may never ever be great. You get what I'm saying? So I mean, Washington is already scouting quarterbacks. This is another rumor that just came out. And they are already scouting several top quarterbacks in next year's upcoming NFL draft. So, I mean, as of right now, it looks like Dwayne Haskins' time in Washington is done, which is unfortunate because we saw the same thing happen with Josh Rosen in Arizona. They only gave him 1 year, and even then, Josh Rosen wasn't even supposed to touch the field week 1 or season 1 of his NFL career, but something happened with Sam Bradford. He ended up having to start. So, I mean, really unfortunate for Dwayne Haskins the way that this season has went for him so far. And, I mean, he doesn't deserve all the blame. Like, the team around him hasn't been great. The offensive line has been terrible. The wide receiver core, aside from Terry McLaurin, isn't all that good. But, I mean, Dwayne Haskins does deserve a good amount of criticism because if Joe Burrow played for Washington, you can make the argument that Washington's offense would be a lot better than what it is right now because Joe Burrow, although he does have a pretty good group of wide receivers, he has a terrible offensive line. So, I mean, if you put Joe Burrow in Washington, that's pretty much a better football team than what they are right now, in my opinion. So, I mean, Dwayne Haskins has a lot of room to grow and develop. But I do think that at this point, he does need a fresh start. So, like I said, this is a rumor, so you have to take everything that I'm saying for a grain of salt. It may be true, it may not be true. Washington may still view Dwayne Haskins as the quarterback of the future. But, I mean, I don't think that you would demote your franchise quarterback of the future from QB1 to QB3. And I think Ron Rivera is pretty much done with Dwayne Haskins.